Good. Yes, they get out of line.
Yeah.
Did you check it for tomatoes? Yeah. Did you check it for tomatoes? Huh? Yeah. No, but he's been solo today. Did a good job.
Ready? All right. Welcome, everyone. Testing. All right. Okay. Welcome, everyone, to the Journal Press. Meet the Candidates Night. I wanted to call it a debate, but can't call it that. The Journal Press's 181st birthday is tomorrow. So it was founded as a Whig, W-H-I-G, a Whig newspaper, and it's always been a little bit ahead of the curve, a little bit offbeat over its history, and it was on the side of course, the Union, and it was pro-abolition, and, it was on the right side of history for whenever I read the archives. And I like to think that we're chugging along and trying to stay on the right side of history. And this is something that the paper hadn't really done a lot of with previous owners, where meet the candidate next. Now, part of it is because pretty much Greenwich had one-party rule for about 100 years, so maybe there wasn't the incentive to have a Meet the Candidates Night. But in other communities, it's a pretty common thing for a newspaper to have a Meet the Candidates Night. We have 4 candidates here. Their opponents declined. As far as the town board goes, they declined for a couple of reasons. They said that last year, when there was a superintendent of highway race, the superintendent of highway candidate on the Democratic side didn't want to debate. So that was part of their rationale. The other rationale was that a couple of years ago, when the same 2 candidates were running for supervisor, I held it was in the middle of COVID, a Zoom debate. And one of the candidates who's not here tonight said that that was a gotcha, and it was a surprise, and it wasn't something that was planned. Well, I went through old emails and looked. I was like, maybe it was a gotcha. Well, I looked, it was pretty clear. I don't know if Jim Nolan will agree, but it was pretty clear that it was set up as a debate format via Zoom. And it went on for a long while, and it was, pretty fairly reported after. It was printed 2 pages of pretty much a transcript in the paper. So I felt that it was very fair and balanced. But as a newspaper, we're encountering more of this as time goes by, where candidates feel this isn't something that they need to do, that they need to go out and meet voters. But I think it's an important part of democracy, and I appreciate you for showing up, and I appreciate the candidates who did show up for showing up. If anyone's interested in this paper, I have a few extras around, and you can take one on the way out if you don't subscribe, or you can subscribe online at jpsubs.com if that interests you. So let me introduce the candidates. This originally was scheduled for 90 minutes. And because we have fewer candidates than I anticipated, it'll probably only go about an hour. We won't keep you here too long. We won't penalize the people that did show up. That's what I do. I also teach journalism classes, and I try not to penalize the students that do show up when there's a lot of absenteeism. So I don't want to penalize the candidates that did show up. But a couple of years ago, we did a school board debate in the same auditorium, and it was much fuller. And I think people want the candidates to appear in the same forum and to hear them talk back and forth and to share ideas. People are hungry for ideas and not just PREs and statements put out on individual websites or Facebook. So I think these candidates are coming. Let me introduce them. In case you don't know, this is Stephanie Cronin, and Stephanie is running she is the current incumbent county clerk, and is running to keep her position. It's unique in that she no longer is on the Republican line, but has, and she'll explain in a second, an independent line that was created so that she can keep being county clerk. So it's kind of an interesting scenario. An invitation was put out to her opponent as well and wasn't responded to. We have Jim Nolan, who is running for supervisor. He is an incumbent also, running for his second two-year term. A supervisor is a two-year position in the town of Greenwich. We have Reed Anderson, a first-time candidate, and he'll tell you more about himself, also running on the Democratic ticket in town. And we have incumbent town board member Pat Donahue, who is running for his second four-year term. Town council members run for 4 years. So those are our candidates. The original format that was set up is each candidate gets a few, 2-3 minutes to introduce themselves. I asked for questions from the audience. If you still want to send one in, get on your phone and send one in. It's editor@journalandpress.com. I'll get it and get it. But I did get about 7 or 8 questions from the public, and I will ask them the questions that the public asked, and then we'll have closing. So shouldn't be too bad. There won't be a need for rebuttal. We did have a rebuttal rule put into it in case candidates were on opposite sides and one called out another candidate, but that won't be necessary. So thank you all for coming, and we'll start with Stephanie. Introduce yourself and let us know a little bit about yourself.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Cronin, formerly known as Stephanie Lumry. My first 2 terms I ran under that name, so it will be Cronin on the ballot this year. I am on the independent line under the name Escape. I was not endorsed by the Republicans at this endorsement time. I was not able to get the 800 signatures needed to push a primary. I was 100 short. So I asked our wonderful Board of Elections what my options were at that point. And at that point, I was able to run on the independent line. I was able to get the signatures required to run on the independent line. My predecessor and my boss from my second job gave me the name Escape. It stands for Elect Stephanie Cronin, Advocate, Personable, Experienced. So they picked it together and I decided to stay with it. I did, in terms of getting the signatures, was lucky enough to be endorsed by the Democratic Party, who also carried and helped me push through to get the signatures that I needed, and I'm very thankful for that. I have been in the county clerk's office for the 18 years that I have worked at the county. 8 of them have been as county clerk, 4 as deputy. The other 6 was the time of training for the position. I started at the bottom level, coming in as an account clerk, and I have worked my way up. There's many challenges, many avenues that you need to learn at the clerk's office. And it's not just the clerk's office that I oversee. I oversee a total of 5 offices in the county. I oversee the DMV office, the clerk's office, the archivist, the historian, and the Supreme and county clerk, or county court. It is a full-time position. I do not sit at a desk. I greet people if I need to, if we're shorthanded at DMV. This week I have 2 out on the clerk side. I am the index clerk this week. What they find when they get back, I'm not sure. But, I love what I do. I love working for the county. I grew up here. My whole family was raised here. My parents were raised in Washington County. I was raised in Washington County. My 2 daughters were raised in Washington County, and I'm very thankful that I can say one of them has moved home to start raising her family here.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, Jim.
First of all, I'd like to thank you, Darren, for putting this on, and I'd like to thank each and every one of you for being here. So I'm Jim Nolan. I was a business professor, full-time business professor, for 40 years at Siena College in business analytics, computer science. And for 35 plus years, I've given back to my community in many different service capacities. I started out as a Little League coach. I ran for the school board in a community that I lived in at age 28. I was elected, and 2 years later I was elected president of that board and served as president for 4 years. I've served on the board of directors of Sunnyview Rehabilitation Hospital for 10 years. Since I've been in Greenwich, I've served as a member of the Greenwich Free Library Board, several years as president. I served as a member of the Greenwich Schools Board of Education, again, several years, and 2 as president. I've also served on the Wishy-Wee-Bosie's board. And finally, I currently serve on the SUNY Adirondack board, which is very well connected to Greenwich in that SUNY Adirondack is supported financially by Washington and Warren County, and Greenwich taxpayer money goes to help support that college. So I feel that I'm representing Greenwich on that board, even though I was a governor's appointment to it. A little over 2 years ago, people approached me and asked me if I would run for town supervisor. For 30 years, I was a registered Republican, and for 15 years, I've been a registered Democrat. So you might say to yourself, why did you change parties? What do you care? To be honest with you, I'm not a politician, and I'm not a hardcore political person. The reason I was registered in the party is because in the communities I lived in, the majority party was the one I signed up for so that I could have a say in who the candidates were during selection, because I vote for the best candidate, regardless of political party, and I still do that. So when they asked me to run, I thought about, can I bring my experience, my years of experience, both as an educator and having done a lot of strategic planning for my college, and all the service that I provided to the community, including in Greenwich, could I bring that to play to make Greenwich a better place? And I decided I thought I could. So I ran, and I did win. So what has happened in the almost 2 years since I've been Greenwich Town Supervisor? Well, we, and I say we very, very carefully, because it's not me, it's we. It's the other town board members. It's all the volunteers on our planning and zoning board, board of assessment review. It's all of the people that come to our meetings and so on. It's the people that serve on our special committees. We've accomplished a lot because I'm a doer. I'm a man of action. I'm someone who wants to get things done. And when I get out there, it's not what I want, it's what the public wants. So that's the kind of record I think I bring, and I'll be talking more about that as we get further into the event. Thank you.
Reed Anderson.
Thank you, and I'd like to thank everyone for coming out tonight. My name is Reed Anderson, and I was born here in Greenwich. Many of you know my parents, Mark and Debbie. I went to Greenwich Central School. I went to school in this building, and I graduated here from here in 2001. I think it's an important part of my story that at 18 years old, I wanted to get out of Greenwich. That was the top of my priority list, and I did that by studying abroad my freshman year. After that, I moved to Westchester and then the Catskills, and ultimately my wife Joan and I went to Philadelphia for 8 years. In 2012, we were getting ready to have a family and Joan was pregnant. And circumstances and priorities were a lot different at that point than they were when I was 18 years old. And so we were evaluating a lot of different places from Harrisburg all the way to Greenwich, of where we might want to live that would be close to our families. And as we looked at Greenwich, it just continued to check off the boxes of the things that were important to us at that time. And so we did move back here in 2012. We bought a home in the village in 2018, and it's been one of the best decisions we ever made. I have family here. As I said, my parents own a home in the town. My brothers both own homes in the village. They are owner-operators, along with my father, of Trevitt Millworks. And I have 2 children, 8 and 10 years old, who attend Greenwich Central School. Coming into the building tonight, my son was playing a soccer game just on the fields out in front. And typically when that's happening, I'm out there coaching. I love coaching. I've been doing it since both of my kids were little because I'm not someone who wants to stand on the sideline and just watch if things happen. When I see things like sports programs or group activities, and when I got approached about the town council, I decided I want to be a part of it. I want to be a contributor. I want to be a part of the solution. And so I am new to this. This is not something that was at the front of my mind a year ago. But the last 6 months have been an incredible learning experience for me. When I'm at the Little League field and the soccer fields and parks, towns, and I see all of my peers and the people in my demographic with kids, I'm having conversations with them now that I never had before. You know, about what their priorities are for the town, about what kinds of services, what things they're looking for out of the town council and out of the village of Greenwich. And I really enjoyed that. I am new to it, and so I get to do a lot of listening, which I think is one of the most important qualities a candidate can have. And I look forward, I guess, to seeing what's coming next. You know, there's a lot of things I have yet to learn, and there are a lot of aspects that are not always fun to get involved in, but overall, it's a new experience, and I get to be a contributor, and I get to be involved, and I appreciate that. So, thank you all.
Pat Donahue.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming. I really appreciate it. My name's Pat Donahue. I'm married to my wife, Lisa, and daughter, Sarah. We live up in North Road. We've lived here since 1985. I work as an auto body technician. I've been a volunteer firefighter for 49 years. I'm a life member of the Casa Una Fire Department, and I still sit on the board of directors on the fire department. I'm a Marine Corps veteran. I was an infantry rifleman squad leader with 2 deployments. I'm an active member of the Marine Corps League and also an active member of the American Legion. With the Marine Corps League, I do the toys for girls and boys. I'm also on the Honor Guard, where we do the wreaths and flags over at the National Cemetery. I'm a past board member of Comfort Food, and I was part of bringing the food pantry to our firehouse. That's pretty much me in a nutshell.
All right, let's get to some of the questions. Now, Stephanie, if you want to chime in too, I think some of these I could apply to you as well. And it might be interesting to hear your perspective. Let's try to keep it to about a minute and a half. Here's one that came in. And so, Stephanie, you could swap out town and make it county. Name 3 priority activities you feel the town board, or the county, should focus on in the next 2 years. So, Stephanie?
So my main focus is looking for additional revenue that I can bring into the county, and to continue the project that I have started with getting our county, town, and villages all on one digitized network, and continue to work on what we can to secure the documents that we need in our county for lifelong preservation.
All right, good. All right, Jim, 3 things that you would like to see the town focus on.
Sure. In 2004, the town developed a comprehensive plan, and that plan was in serious need of updating. So for the last year, we've been working very, very hard to develop a new comprehensive plan in collaboration with the village. And that comprehensive plan has been developed with a huge amount of public input, input from high school students here, and several public meetings. That plan will be discussed at a public hearing and voted on this coming Monday, October 16th. I use that as a lead into the priorities because that new plan, that new comprehensive plan, contains a vision of the future of Greenwich that was developed from all of these constituencies. And in that plan, it lists a lot of priorities. So let me tell you the three that I think are most important. First of all, senior housing. We heard from so many seniors that said that when they want to downsize, there's not enough housing or not enough suitable housing for the seniors to stay in Greenwich. I personally know people who have come in and talked to me about this. They had to move to Saratoga or to Latham or to somewhere else because they don't have it. So that's one thing. A second thing is to increase the economic activity in both the town and village. And for the town, the priority is to do it in our commercial district out Route 29 and continue that out to Middle Falls and out Route 40 to Route 77. From talking with business people and prospective developers, the only way that can happen is if we bring water out there. So what we're doing with the comprehensive plan and also with a BOA pre-development grant of $166,500 that we're working on now is to investigate all the zoning changes we have to make, implement them, investigate bringing water out in conjunction with the village, what it will cost, and so on and so forth. So that's a second big priority. The third priority that came out loud and clear is that people believe that Greenwich, a big part of living here in Greenwich and this being a great community, are parks and recreation. We are very fortunate in Greenwich that we have two parks. One is on the Battenkill River and the other is on the Hudson River. And what we want to do is to further develop those parks so that they offer easier access, more amenable services and so on, and people can use them and market them better. So I think those are the three priorities that I would pick out of the many things that come out of the comprehensive plan.
All right, Reed?
So for me, I would say, as I would mentioned in my opening speech, I've been having conversations for the first time with a lot of my peers and the people I interact with, and these are people with full-time jobs and with kids in school, and so it's similar in the same situation that I was in. I think that there's not always an awareness of how the town council impacts our lives and like the many services that are impacting every one of us and our children. The library programs that my kids go to, the youth center, the town summer camp, all of these things, I kind of had this assumption that they were just there and they would always be there. And when Jim and Pat were looking for someone to run along with them, somebody who could represent people with children in the school system or people in my demographic was important to them. And so I feel that for me, that is a priority to start getting people more involved. You know, a lot of these people that I interact with, see, they have businesses here in the town. They're coaches, they're leaders of Boy Scouts, and I would like to expand the visibility of the town council and how it impacts their lives and try to get more people involved at my age. For me also, because of my children and their involvement in the library and the youth programs here in town, that to me would be a priority. I would like to continue to see the support that those programs get continue and expand it if we could be. I'd like to be able to perhaps be involved with that and just help see that grow. I do think that that's a really huge resource for our town. A lot of people who live here in Greenwich don't necessarily work here in Greenwich. And where their kids are going when school lets out, there is a gap between when people get home from work and when their kids are out of school. And so I think services like the library and the youth center are beneficial to the town in that it makes it a more attractive place to live. I've got a 45-minute commute to Green Island, and knowing that my kids can go to those places and I know that they're safe and I don't have to worry about them is a huge asset and enables me to live here. And I'd like it to be that way for other people who may not have family that would drive them to want to live here. So those are my two priorities.
Okay, my three. First off, I'll go with Jim, the comprehensive plan, working with the village and getting the grants. That's very important. for our future of the town. My next priority would be what they call LOSAP. It's Length of Service Awards Program for recruitment and retention of volunteer firefighters and EMS workers. We approved to look into this at the town board meeting to see if we could get some sort of, it's not really a retirement, but after a firefighter has done 20 years or whatever like that, they would get a small thing per month, maybe $100 or whatever like that. We did do the 10% tax break for the firefighters, and I would like to get that also. It went to the county, I believe. Yes, it went to the county, and we're hoping the school will do the same with their taxes. But that's one of my highest priorities. And also to pursue grants for our town hall building. Such a beautiful building. We need put heating systems in it, insulation, and just update our building. And I would say that would be a priority.
All right, good. We'll stick with that, and we'll come back this way. So, what are 2 features that you value most about Greenwich, and how will you support and retain them? So, an upbeat question.
All right. I would say the people. I'll use the people as a first feature. The volunteers, whether they that provide services to our town, whether it be the fire department, rescue squad, food pantry, youth programs, and libraries. We're very fortunate to have all these things in our town, and all the people. It's just great that we have these services. The next thing I would have to say is the schools. My daughter went from Pooh Corner, graduated from Greenwich High School. She went to University of New Haven. She got her master's degree in forensic science, and now is working for the New York State Police as a forensic scientist. But I would have to say the education that she got here is what centers to that. So those would be mine too.
Good.
Thank you.
Reed?
This ties back into my last question for what was my priority, but one of the features I love most is the youth programs that are already in place. My children participate in the Lego Club and the different reading challenges at the library. My son sees me playing chess on my phone sometimes with friends, and he asked about it. We started learning how to play chess. He went to the librarian and asked if he could start a chess club, and now he has a chess club there every single Monday. To be able to have that is, for an 8-year-old to form his own chess club and have a space to do that is amazing. And I think that's one of the, I love seeing the kids at the town camp or the new Gaga ball court that's right outside of the youth center, and I love that stuff. I'm a kid at heart too, so it's wonderful. The other thing I think is that I love about Greenwich, and I think what makes it really special, is we have a community that really turns out. When I first heard about the tractor parade, I was kind of skeptical of like a couple of tractors rolling down Main Street. But when I show people who aren't from Greenwich or haven't seen the tractor parade, the sheer scale of this thing, and I mean, and I get to ride on the tractor parade now in Kelly Seller Ryan wagon. I felt like that entire parade was for me.
It was for you.
That the town shows up in a big way when we have communal activities like that. My brothers put on the throwdown at the Irwin Farm, and it's a massive event that during the day is totally family friendly. Kids are running around all over. When Comfort Food has had its cookouts, there's a huge turnout there at the VFW, and I think Greenwich has a strong sense of community, and the people show that by turning up. I think that there's opportunity to grow even beyond what we're doing now, and I think leveraging some of the park space. I remember people always playing volleyball at a park I went to in Philadelphia, and I think about things like that I see in other places that we could grow upon this tremendous sense of community that we already have.
I too, like Councilman Pat Donahue said, the thing I love about Greenwich are the people. And when my wife and I first moved here, we went out to go to work in the morning, and we were carpooling, and we saw children walking to school. Sometimes it was an older brother with a younger sister, and we looked at ourselves and we said, Norman Rockwell. It seemed like a Norman Rockwell community and so on. And so my first item that I'll bring up is the walkability that we have in this community. Unfortunately, it doesn't extend far enough to some of the places that people do want to go. So as a town, we were able to work with the village, and that's the secret, by the way, to success is collaboration. And we worked with the village to obtain a grant to study both pedestrian and bicycle traffic lanes that would extend walkability in both the village and town. So that's one item that I think is extremely important and a feature that can be approved. Again, like Pat Donahue, when you talk about the institutions in this community, the schools, the library, the first responder organizations and so on, they're all made up of people who are so dedicated and make this community such a great place to live. So supporting them in every way we can. I supported them by volunteering and being on their board, and now as town supervisor and working with the town board, we support them in every which way, not just financially, but by collaboration, doing collaborative activities. The Greenwich Youth Organization, Comfort Food. It's what makes this community a great community. So collaborating and working and helping in any way to leverage what we have to make things even better.
So Stephanie, I guess we would apply it to the county. What are your favorite things about it? A couple of them.
So, odd as it is, one of the things that I have been doing is I have been going to town board meetings and seeing the differences with the supervisors at the town level as well as when they come to the county. I can say, living in Washington County for 56 years, it's a county I love and it's a county that I'll always be in. The people around the whole county is all within the same, or all a wonderful, caring group of individuals. And seeing how the supervisors work with the county employees, as well as with the way they are working with the residents of their own towns, and seeing the struggles that not only the county has, but the towns have. They have a harder job than what we actually see as individuals, because we either see them at one position or the other one. So I have learned a lot with seeing them in two different situations, and I think we're lucky to not only have the residents we have in the whole county, but to have the people that are supporting us in the county.
And to counterbalance that question, what are two features about Greenwich that you would improve if you could? So, or about the county, about the operations of, let's say, the county clerk's office. What are two things that you would improve? Yes, Stephanie.
Dealing with New York State. We have come up against many challenges over the last couple years on decisions that are being made on a very quick avenue from Albany. So trying to balance the everyday workload as well as keeping up with the challenges and changes that are coming on a regular basis. If they could just be spread out a little bit, that would be wonderful. And if we could get more of our residents out, our younger people out to become employees of the county. There's been a lot of changes with the retirement and with different changes along that way. And it is a struggle to find help and for individuals that want to take the test at the county level. So if we can, bring it to the schools, educate the kids at the school more on the opportunities that are available at the county for jobs for kids that aren't college oriented. There are opportunities for them, and I think that's one of the things we need to get get out to these schools is the different opportunities that the kids have.
All right, Jim, let's apply it to Greenwich. 2 things you would fix.
2 things to fix. First of all, I believe that the town of Greenwich, as I said earlier, is great for walkability, but there could be improvement in that. Let me expand on that. I think we need to bring more people into both the village and town of Greenwich from outside of Greenwich. So how do we do that? Well, walkability is one thing, but also destination. We have a number of really good businesses in Greenwich. We really could use more. So in order to do that, we have to have the infrastructure to do that. The village is working very hard and has gotten some significant grants to improve its water system. The town is looking at extending the water system, working with the village, out Route 29 and so on, so that we can bring additional businesses that would bring people into Greenwich and have them use our restaurants, our pubs, our group pubs, and so on and so forth. So that's one thing. The second thing is, I think our parks can not only serve as a destination for people in Greenwich, but for people outside of Greenwich. Hudson Crossing Park in Schuylerville, Northumberland, had 25,000 people visit it in 2022. I think our parks, when developed, can start approaching those numbers with activities that are being held there, just like Hudson Crossing Park does. And those people that come to those parks and do those activities, whatever they may be, they'll come into Greenwich and they'll use our restaurants, they'll go to our stores, they'll visit our library, and so on and so forth. So those are 2 things that I think could use improvement.
Good. Reed?
I guess to piggyback a bit along what Jim was saying, to improving the appeal and draw to our businesses here in Greenwich. I grew up in a house where my dad ran a business, a small business that was largely himself. It's now my dad and my brothers. And I feel like when I'm looking for professional services here locally, sometimes it can be difficult. I'm not sure if there are less now than there were in the past. Trying to get someone to service my furnace prior to winter coming up, there are not a lot of heating and plumbing people still working locally. And I feel that I would like to, there could be, talking to the people who are running those types of businesses here in town and what can be done to bring more attention or more assistance or there's so many of these small businesses that employ people here locally, and that maybe that we could be working more with them and bringing them into the fold, or understanding what their needs are and what the barriers might be to running that kind of business here in Greenwich. I think the less people would have to go to Saratoga for any kind of professional service or Glens Falls, and then more that we could keep that here. It's benefits Greenwich similar to having people eat in a restaurant here or go shopping here as well. So having that been close to home growing up, I think that would be important for me. The other area is I'd heard at one of the meetings recently, it's difficult right now for the fire departments and some of the local services to attract new and young people. And I think that's another area that the incentives that were put in place with the taxes are a good start, but there needs to be other things. That's a purely volunteer basis for our fire departments and some of our EMTs, and that they're services that we need, but it's a lot of hours that people have to put in, and time is tight. So I think that looking at where we can make that more attractive too, to help bring people in, would be important.
All right, Pat.
Okay, 2 features to improve. I would say senior housing would be my first thing. And then the next right off of that would be affordable housing. And that's why this comprehensive plan is so important, to plan for our future in Greenwich.
What would you say, I'll just counter off of that because it's been mentioned a couple times. What would you say senior housing is? Maybe this is a Jim question, or maybe Pat. What would you say, how would you define it? Like, how is it different than just buying a house?
So, if I may, senior housing is seniors who want to downsize, first of all, so they're selling their home. They want to move into a community that is supportive and is near things like grocery stores, drugstores, and so on. So senior housing is a smaller, either condo or apartment-like setting, usually with other seniors similar age and so on, perhaps community rooms built into the complex and so on. And they want to be able to walk to places or short drive to grocery store, pharmacy, medical facilities, and so on. We have that out the Route 29 corridor. We have developers for large pieces of land that are willing to build those type of communities if there's water out there. So that's what we mean by senior housing.
Okay, good. Good to have the fleshed out a little bit. Grants, and I don't know if this applies to the clerk's office, but it seems like there's a little bit of chatter out there about the grant process, and hey, you know, grants are not like free money, but they have a cost to them. So what are your views on grants in general? We can start with Stephanie, sure.
Now that I know how to write them, I love them.
Okay.
The county clerk's office has been awarded over $330,000 in grants to digitize records. We are doing county, town, village, a police department who is in desperate need of digitizing their records. It allows us to preserve those records. It allows us to protect those records due to the fact that vital records have to be kept indefinitely, and they're supposed to be secured, wrapped, not touched unless you have white gloves. Years ago, they were put on microfilm, and we don't have the machines anymore, so they're going back to these books. That does not make my archivist very happy. So now we are able to digitize those records. We are storing the books at the county because we are digitizing the county records as well. And it's opening up more room for the towns and villages as well as for the county, so we can be securing those records. We also were awarded a grant from the Sandy Hill Foundation for papers that have been kept in the historian's office that were not able to be looked at for the last 20 years because they were so fragile. My historian said, can we write a grant? I said, let me go upstairs and see their thoughts. They said, you know, go for it. We were awarded it. And now all those newspapers from the 1800s, four that she had, are now all digitized and easily accessible and can actually be touched now.
Good.
The other grants are hard to write, but the nice option with them is it allows the counties, the towns, the villages to do things that they don't have the funds for. And that's the main thing, is we're looking, and I'm sure not only at a town or village level, but as a county level, to do what is best and additional that we can do for the taxpayers without adding the cost to the taxpayers.
Okay, very good. Now, Jim, this is an issue that comes up, I guess, in the political rhetoric.
After hearing Stephanie's response, it's very hard to follow that because I really have to say I echo what Stephanie said, is if you want to pursue things that are good for the community, you can't always go to the town's citizens and say, we need to raise the tax rate so that we can do this and do that. You can't keep doing that. Grants are a way of leveraging money in order to make improvements in your community that don't fall as a burden on the town taxpayer. Grants can be obtained from the state, from the federal government, and from foundations. One thing I hear about grants as a criticism is, oh, you say we're not using town tax dollars, but you really are using our tax dollars because you got a state grant and we pay state taxes. But there's an easy answer to that. We do all pay state taxes. Do we want those state tax dollars to go to Albany, to Syracuse, to Greenwich, to Schuylerville? No, we want them to go to Greenwich, right? And we're bringing those tax dollars back into Greenwich to make accomplishments that otherwise couldn't be done. Finally, the other thing about grants is collaboration. We have worked very closely from day one since I became supervisor with Mayor Pam Fuller in the village. And we've applied for several grants, and we've been very successful in getting those grants. And in the response from the granting agency, they almost always say, what we liked most about your application was intermunicipal cooperation. So again, we're leveraging that to get more things done through grants without raising taxes.
Great.
So most of my thoughts have already been said there. Some of our opponents have spoken poorly about grants because it is our tax money. We're not on a level that's controlling that. Like, we are paying those state and federal taxes, and so I think it's crazy not to claw back as much of our money as we can to use to invest here in Greenwich. To say that we don't want to use that because we're opposed to the grant system is like starving ourselves, but to win the moral high ground. I don't understand that. I think we should get as much grant money as we can to invest here in our community. It's done good work already in the Greenwich Revitalization Plan study. It's being used now to look at how to bring water out Route 29, as Jim mentioned, and it's put a roof on the building down at the Hudson Riverside Park. That building was going to be a further risk of falling into disrepair and cost more money, but with grant money, we're able to secure Greenwich's assets. So I don't understand the argument of trying to use grant money to help here in Greenwich.
It didn't leave me much. But I am pro-grants. I agree that we should get the tax money that we pay in. We should put in for grants and get our tax money back to do our infrastructure or whatever projects that we have to do. But I am pro-grants. They're great.
All right, so I think we, a lot of I've gotten other questions, but I think they've been covered in a bunch of different ways, and I don't want you to repeat yourselves. Here's the final question, and then we can get to closings. But this one's a little bit more big picture, and it might, make you think outside the box a little. Given the crisis of global and local climate change, please list one new strategy which Greenwich or the county could implement to address the need for greater sustainability in our community. And do you want to start, Pat? We'll start at your end and we'll end over here.
As being past fire chief.
Oh, you need your microphone.
As being a past fire chief, I'm going to go with public safety. I think we need to prepare our infrastructure for the storms we've been having, whether it be the dirt roads that wash out, culverts, having plans to escape in the time of needs. I know as a fire department, we've been doing water rescue. We've been buying equipment for this. And, you can say it's not going to happen here, but you just look right around in our neighborhoods where they get 12 inches of rain in a couple hours. Nobody can withstand that, but we have to be ready for it. And that's my biggest thing is public safety, just to make sure that we keep all our people safe.
Thanks. This is a topic I'm going to stay brief on as it's something I'm still learning about, and I'm not incredibly familiar at this point with the different opportunities at the town or village level. I do know the town building needs updates and improvements, and I think to not look at some of the greener, more environmentally friendly options, such as like a heat pump system, as opposed to just trying to keep our oil furnace going, are one way that we could contribute towards Greenwich's climate-friendly impact. I only had a brief conversation with it too, but a family friend of ours was speaking about Warren County's trash and recycling programs that they've implemented up there, and my understanding is that they've taken several major steps in how they handle their trash and recyclables. That's a much more sustainable manner, and that is a conversation we had said we were going to follow up on, and my understanding is that Washington County and Greenwich maybe has some opportunity for improvement in that area as well.
Okay. break in really quick. If you ever want your email to blow up, buy a local newspaper, but Greenwich girls soccer won 3-1 over Cambridge just now. Greenwich is 9-2-3 over the regular season, so playoff bound. There's some news out there. I don't think they've lost on the new field since they've gotten it. All right, so back to the question, environment.
Well, that's great news about the Greenwich.
Yeah, no, it's good.
Climate smart communities is the answer. The town initiated several months ago a discussion with an expert on climate smart communities. Hebron has entered into this program, and it's basically where you buy into the program and the government and other agencies monitor your activities, and there's all different activities you can do. So for instance, you can hold public hearings on the value of getting climate-friendly heating sources. You can, as the town has, we did an engineering study early in my time as supervisor, and we identified our oil-fired burner as on its last legs. So one of the first things we've done is we reached out and we looked at both geothermal heating and heat pumps as an option. So the Climate Smart Community Program, should we go out and do that and document it, we get points. And after you get so many points, you get grants that come back that you can use to leverage further work on this. So the town is looking at ways to help the climate, both in the heating of our town hall and in other ways that would help our community become a greener community.
So Stephanie, do you want that question, or I just got a late question? And maybe other people might be interested in it too. This is about political parties. Some might say that political parties have no place in local politics. As you are here backed by a political party, or your own party, can you speak on what impact you see the political party system having on your job or activities as a local elected official? So everyone's welcome to this, but we'll start with Stephanie. Is that okay? We spoke about it before the whole thing started, so I'm sure you have some ideas on the topic.
I don't know if I'm the best one to start right now with that.
All right, so she's had some bad luck with local political parties. Jim, do you want to talk about it? You do?
I'd love to.
Okay. Jim.
The first thing I'll say about myself is I'm not a politician. And I say that because if you look at village elections, it's not Democrat, Republican political parties. You create your own political party with your own name and you run basically as yourself. That's what I believe is the way it should be. As I said earlier, when I vote in an election, I don't look at someone's political affiliation. I look at what they've done and what I think they can do in that office. And I vote for the best person no matter what political party they are. So I don't believe in us versus them. I believe in what's best for the community and voting for the best person. I also don't believe in the animosity that has developed in this town and in this country with respect to political parties. I think it is negative and it serves no purpose, especially to the people of the town and of this nation.
Would you like to handle that one?
Yeah, I can speak briefly about it.
Sure.
I did not join because I wanted to run on the Democratic ticket. I joined because I met with Pat and I met with Jim and I met with the team that was behind them, and I heard about what their priorities were, what their values were, and how they felt, what they felt was the best approach to improving Greenwich. At this level, I really don't think most of the headlines and the stereotypes that we apply to Democrat and Republican, just at the national level, they don't apply here. We're all residents of Greenwich, and we all want the best form of Greenwich. Our opponents are looking for the best version of Greenwich they can do it too, that they can create as well. Where we do differ is we have different beliefs in how we get there. And And I believe that Jim Nolan's record, Pat's record, and their plans for the future of investing in Greenwich, in projects today, and in making those investments that are going to be returning value to us and for the next 10 years, 20 years, is the best way to build Greenwich. And but by investing, it doesn't mean they're just raising taxes and spending money endlessly. They're doing it in a fiscally responsible manner. I have tremendous gratitude to the Greenwich Democratic Party, the support that they've given me to run this time around. I couldn't have ever done it without the Greenwich Democratic Committee helping with signs and ads and helping me come up to speed on some of the topics. The support has been tremendous, and I just, time-wise, never could have done this without every one of those people who's helped me in this campaign. But I believe were I to be on the town council, it's about the people of Greenwich. And I've got friends who are on all sides of the political spectrum, and most of the time our conversations don't end up going there. When I'm talking to them about Greenwich and what their priorities are for Greenwich, our conversations also don't go into politics. And so that's how I've carried myself in my personal life up to this point, and were I to be elected, I would carry myself the same way on the council.
All right, when I was 18, I registered as a Democrat. I've stayed Democrat, but I do believe in politics not being a team sport, us against them. I'm my own person, I can make my own decisions, and it's carried me this far, so.
Let's go with Pat, and we'll end over here. 2-3 minutes, if you could, or if you want to do less, it's fine too.
Okay. First off, I want to thank you, Darren, for having us. Thank you all for coming. I have my 4 years coming up on the town board. I've learned so much. I would have paid more attention in school and civics, but it's really good to see the budgeting on how the town works. Like I say, my first 2 years, I got a really good education, and now I just feel like I'm starting to roll. But thank you all for coming. I really appreciate it, and get out and vote.
Yeah, I greatly appreciate everyone who's come out tonight. A lot of you have given tremendous support up to this point already. I didn't think anything about the town council and what it did and how it impacted my life at this time last year. So these last 6 months have been a tremendous learning experience. It's been a lot of fun. Like I said, I'm not someone who likes to stand on the sidelines and watch. I grew up, my mom is a doer. She's involved. Everybody knows these activities she gets into, and that's how I was raised. I want to be involved, and I want to be a proactive part of it. I hope I get the opportunity to serve Greenwich on this board come this November. There are a lot of important issues at hand, and there are very different approaches to how our campaign believes they should get done and how our opponents believe they should get done. And so I encourage you to reach out to your friends, family, neighbors, and encourage them to vote on November 7th, because the topics at hand do matter, they do impact their lives, and we need your support. Thank you.
In my nearly 2 years as town supervisor, we have accomplished an awful lot. First of all, we've developed a new comprehensive plan in collaboration with the village. Secondly, we did an engineering study of town hall so that we know every facet of what needs to be done at town hall. We actually implemented one. Town hall is now fully handicap accessible. We hung veterans banners in collaboration with the village again, up and down Main Street, out Route 29, and on some of the side streets. We, as Pat Donahue mentioned, we rewarded our first responders, our volunteer firefighters, and our volunteer EMS workers with a 10% reduction in their assessment for their time as firefighters. We're looking at the behest of Councilman Donahue, and it was voted and supported by the full board, at a length of service agreement that would award them, after so many years and at a certain age, a payment each month. We've done this and many other things we've accomplished, but we have much more to do. My budget that I presented to the town board last week, the tentative budget, includes additional money for our senior citizens, for activities associated with them, additional money for our first responders, both our volunteer fire departments and our EMTs. It includes money for grants, applying for grants, and we are doing all of this with no tax increase. And the reason we're doing that is because of grants. We're able to leverage grants. So I think my fiscal experience and my fiscal responsibility in enabling us to be able to do the good things for Greenwich and for the citizens of Greenwich without having to raise taxes is notable.
Stephanie Cronin.
Thank you so much for allowing me to be here tonight and to say a little bit about who I am, what I'm about. There's a lot of people sitting out here tonight, new friends that I have made over this last 9 months. It has not been an easy 9 months. It has truly been a struggle trying to find out deep inside who I am and what I'm really looking for in my position. I have had some wonderful support from supervisors, as well as previous supervisors, which I wouldn't be sitting here today without one of them that I'm looking at right now, and I appreciate her with all my heart, as well as two very special people sitting in the second row who have given me the opportunity to be supported in something that I truly feel is important for the whole county, and that's to make sure that our lives, our history is secured, and that we continue to put our residents first before we put anything else, because when it comes down to it, our communities, our county, it's all about the people that are in it and not about necessarily who is running it. So thank you all for letting me be here tonight.
Okay, thank you. I'm sure the candidates will linger around if you have questions directly for them. But thank you for coming. Tell your friends, and we'll have a video, we'll have audio, and we'll also put a story in the newspaper. So look for it in about a week. All right, thank you. Good job.